جشنواره فرهنگی کشورهای آسیایی در سالن اورگرین کوکیتلام برگزار شد. اثر برگزاری چنین جشنواره‌هایی در زندگی مردم در ونکوور چیه و چگونه آینده شهروندی و همزیستی اونا رو ترسیم میکنه؟
So I think festivals of this kind are incredibly important. They allow us to explore different cultures, to celebrate our diversity, which gives us strength and which allow us to come together more as family, friends, and community. I think the more we learn about other cultures, the more we learn about ourselves. And it's very important that we reach out and recognize other cultures so that we can have that self-growth. I believe I was coming to these events before I was elected, and that was 10 years ago that I was elected. So I've been happy to be a part of this cultural and heritage exploration as long as I can remember. We're absolutely always ready to look for opportunities to fund events of this kind and fund organizations of this kind. That, of course, depends on budgets and whatnot, but the more we can encourage this sort of activity, the better for us as individuals and as Canadians.
The surprise is, of course, that she asked for this like 3 weeks ago, and of course, with an election and a new government, a new cabinet, things are happening around the world, so we were able to get it done finally. So, June, on behalf of the Prime Minister, here's a greeting from the Prime Minister. And thank you all. Thank you to the Asian Heritage Month Society.
من مسعود اسماعیل زاده هستم از اعضای انجمن ادبی حافظ که برنامه‌های سخنرانی رو از سال 2010 در اینجا در همین اورگرین کالچرال سنتر انجام در ضمن از اولین ایونت های ایژن هریتیج رو با دوستان دیگه با هم انجام دادیم که خوشبختانه در تمام این سال‌ها ادامه داشته.
بسیار عالی. از اونجایی که شما روی همین سن همیشه برنامه دارید، میخوام بدونم مسیجی که روی این سن امروز وجود داره با مسیجی که شما در برنامه‌های سخن عشق دارید چه تفاوتی داره؟
میگه که یکیست ترکی و تازی در این معامله حافظ، حدیث عشق بیان کن به هر زبان که تو دانی. واقعا زبان همه آدما زبان انسانیت، زبان عشق، زبان محبت و چقدر جالبه که از هر طرفی که بیاد، مخصوصا کشورهای آسیایی که چقدر ما مشترکات داریم باشون و چقدر خوبه که این مسائل منفی برداشته بشه و ما بیشتر به هم نزدیک بشیم. یه چنین جلسات و چنین رویدادهایی به این کمک میکنه و من خیلی خوشحالم. خیلی ممنون از دوستانی که زحمت کشیدن و این کارو به ثمر رسوندن.
آقای دکتر چرا فکر میکنید مهمه که ما در کشور کانادا و در شهری که زندگی میکنیم بتونیم فرهنگ همدیگر رو خوب بشناسیم؟ این شناخت فرهنگ، هنر و آداب و رسوم چه کمکی تو ارتباط اجتماعی ما میکنه؟
حتما عزیزم، فرهنگ، ادبیات، هنر، همه اینا وسایل این که آدما به هم نزدیک بشن و هر چقدر آدما به هم نزدیک بشن انسان‌تر میشن. آدما در آینه همدیگه انسان‌تر میشن و این فرهنگ بسیار چیز جالبی است و پیغام صلح، پیغام محبته.
جناب فدایی بسیار خوشحالیم که یکی از اعضای برگزار کننده این فستیوال هستید. قدری لطف کنید راجع به این فستیوال به بینندگان ما توضیح بفرمایید.
خواهش میکنم. باعث افتخار من بود که برای اولین بار عضو هیئت مدیره انجمن باشم. 29 سال هستش که این انجمن داره کار میکنه. هر سال حدود 1 ماه رو اختصاص میدن به در واقع پروموت کردن و جشن گرفتن بگیم که فرهنگ ها و میراث آسیایی. برنامه های مختلفی ما داشتیم. روز 10 می که برنامه افتتاحیه بود، در واقع تعدادی از هنرمندای آسیایی از کشورهای مختلف رو در خدمتشون بودیم. امروز تعداد زیادی از هنرمندان مختلف رو در خدمتشون بودیم، عزیزانی که از چین، از هند، از ایران برنامه‌های مختلفی اجرا کردن و این برنامه هر سال انجام خواهد شد. اگر افتخاری باشه بسیار خوشحال خواهم شد که در سالهای آینده هم بتونم یه نقش خیلی کوچیکی داشته باشم.
بسیار عالی. جناب فدایی فکر میکنید چه لزومی داره که ما با فرهنگ‌های مختلف در کشور کانادا آشنا بشیم؟ این چه کمکی به ما میکنه که به عنوان یک کانادایی در اینجا بتونیم همدیگر رو پذیرا باشیم؟
ببینید، کانادا رو یه جوری میگن مثل موزاییک میمونه که از فرهنگا و از پیشینه‌های مختلف دارن کنار همدیگه زندگی میکنن. من خودم همیشه فکر میکنم ببینید شما مثلا مسافرت اگر جایی تشریف میبرین، نمیخواین برین یه جایی که همه چی مثل همون کشوری باشه که اومدین ازش، وگرنه خب چه لطفی دیگه داره. به نظر من یکی از چیزهایی که ما خیلی خوششانسیم که داریم توی این کشور این هستش که فرهنگ‌های مختلف، رقص‌های مختلف، آوازهای مختلف، غذاهای مختلف رو میتونیم در کنار همدیگه توی یک شهر یا توی یک کشور داشته باشیم. به نظر من اصلا تجربه ما رو از زندگی غنی‌تر میکنه در واقع. این نظر من.
بسیار عالی. حضور جامعه ایرانی و هنرمندان و کسانی که روی صحنه برنامه‌های رو داشتن رو چگونه دیدید امسال؟
خیلی خیلی من خوشحالم که حضور پررنگی داشتن. هنرمندان مختلفی داشتیم، عزیزانی که خواننده بودن، رقص‌های مختلف زیبایی اجرا کردن و بسیار بسیار من خوشحالم که حضور پررنگی داشتن. امسال هم همچنان سالهای گذشته هم بودن هنرمندان عزیز. خیلی خوشحالم چون ببینید یه بخش بزرگی از جامعه کانادایی، ایرانی کانادایی ها هستن. خیلی خوشحالم که تونستیم خدمت تعداد زیادی از عزیزان باشیم.
و یک سری از جوانان و نوجوانان خوب از آموزشگاه به سوی آینده هم بودن که خودشون رو فرزندان کوروش معرفی کردن اونجا.
واقعا لذت بخش جناب مایچی که عزیزانی که یا سن خیلی خیلی پایین اومدن اینجا یا اصلا اینجا به دنیا اومدن با فرهنگ ایرانی آشنا بشن، با زبان ایرانی آشنا بشن، حد در اون حد که بتونن خودشون کتاب بنویسن. واقعا به نظر من چیز با ارزشی هستش. من خسته نباشید میگم به همه عزیزانی که آموزگاران این مجموعه هستن.
خانم شنونده گرامی، بچه‌های شما فرزندان کوروش اون بالای سن درخشیدن. برنامه شما برای این فستیوال چی بود؟
با درود خدمت شما و بینندگان عزیزتون، ما بر این باوریم که ایران فرهنگی در همه جای دنیا باید گسترش پیدا کنه و به همین دلیل دانش آموزان زبان پارسی به سوی آینده به خاطر ترویج ایران فرهنگی به 2 زبان فارسی و انگلیسی کتاب‌های فرهنگی، ادبی و هنری تألیف و ترجمه کردن. ما این کتاب‌ها رو آوردیم و فرهنگ فارسی رو با استفاده از داستان‌های شاهنامه، ضرب‌المثل‌های فارسی که برگرفته از کتاب امثال و حکم دهخدا بود و کتاب آموزش زبان فارسی با استفاده از پتانسیل زبان انگلیسی و یک کتابم به نام سرزمین آیین‌ها که جشن‌های آریایی بود خدمت عزیزان غیر ایرانی معرفی کردیم و در غرفه برای فروش گذاشتیم.
ما برای اولین بار شاهد هستیم که بچه‌های خود این آموزشگاه کتاب نگارش کردن و این خیلی جالبه. چطور شما خودتون به عنوان مربیشون، معلمشون این تشویق رو به وجود آوردید و این اعتماد به نفس رو شکل دادید در بچه‌ها که خودشون صاحب یک کتاب بشن، یک کتابی بنویسن و در واقع خودشون یک معلم کوچولو باشن برای بقیه؟
ممنون از سوالتون. بله، بچه‌ها وقتی وارد فضای آموزشگاه به سوی آینده میشن احساس میکنن داخل ایرانن. انقدر این فضا شاد و صمیمیه. جشن‌ها و آیین‌ها رو ما اجرا میکنیم، کارگاه ضرب‌المثل‌ها داریم. بچه‌ها به مرور علاقه‌مند میشن. بعد من بهشون پیشنهاد میدم، میگم میخواین یک کتاب راجع به خاطراتتون راجع به جشن سده، سپندار مزگان یا مهرگان بنویسین؟ آیا دلتون میخواد ضرب‌المثل‌های فارسی که تو کارگاه ضرب‌المثل‌ها ما خوندیم بنویسین؟ و همه با اشتیاق قبول میکنن. البته جا داره از حضور اساتید هنر و خوشنویسیمون که در تیم هنری به سوی آینده کنار ما هستن بسیار سپاسگزاری کنم و امیدوارم این مسیر ادامه پیدا کنه. الان یکی از شاگردان ما پوشاک ایرانیان باستان رو داره تالیف میکنه که رونمایی اون میفته به ماه سپتامبر.
امیدوارم که موفق و پیروز باشید.
سپاس از زحمات شما و تلویزیون پرواز.
Poetry holds a special place in Persian culture. 4 performers from Toward the Future Cultural Academy, the Suy Ayande, will now take the stage to present a deeply moving Persian poetry recital. With each verse, they bring to life the rhythm of language, the depth of heritage, and the timeless beauty of poetic expression.
Thank you all for your attention so far. On behalf of my whole team, I'd like to say that we're very grateful to be here participating in this wonderful festival and sharing our culture with you. I'm going to start with a poem from the great Persian poet Simin Behbahani that I've translated to English, and it's called My Sword is This Poem. To hang my sword on the wall I do not want. To mingle with sweet sleep, but in the grave, I do not want. My sword is this poem right here, more prolific than any other sword. With this charming weapon, to shed blood, I do not want. I can speak nothing but the truth, be it upon my head. I will bring my head forward, and to evade death, I do not want. Oh man, I am a woman, a human. If despite your grudge you will not place a crown of thorns upon my head, a crown of flowers I do not want. With the 7 colors of silk I will weave a shawl of love. The fraying of these colorful threads I do not want. Light a fire in the city each second I will not. To raise a riot in the world every day I will not. Take these rhymes more lightly, enough of war and insanity and ignorance. Even if you want these things, oh man, I do not. So to introduce myself, my name is Zetareh Sateish. I'm a recent graduate of McGill University, an incoming medical student at UBC, and a student of many years at Besuiya Ayende Academy. I chose to share this poem by Simina Behbahani because it's about resistance against violence and the power of femininity, which are pillars of Persian culture and society. I included several notable Persian women, as you can see on the screen, although many are not included here, as they are trailblazers in their own fields and proponents of change and innovation. And I wanted to feature them as they represent the richness and diversity and strength of Persian culture that we wish to share with you here today through stories, through history, and the work that we've done to promote Persian education. Now, my own work with Ms. Jandi has been on the Farsi for Everyone books, which I have here in my hand, and you can check out at our booths. And it's a language instructional book for learning Persian as a second language, and we created it because we noticed that a lot of books for Persian learning are very lacking in many ways. A lot have religious and political propaganda and are incomplete, do not have a lot of linguistic topics that are very important, and they don't have English translations, so students like myself really had trouble just working alone. I relied a lot on my instructor. So we created this book to sort of address all of those issues. We're working on subsequent volumes at the moment, and we hope to make it more accessible, to make this, this beautiful language more accessible to students who wish to learn it. So with that, I'll hand it over to Faria, who is going to talk about her own work and share some of Persian culture with you as well.
Hi everyone, before I begin, I'd like to talk a little bit about Cyrus the Great. I am Cyrus, king of the world, the great king, king of Babylon, which is modern-day Iran, and of all the lands. By the will of the great God, I entered Babylon in peace, without war or bloodshed, and established order and stability. Upon my arrival, I brought security and tranquility to the people. I declared that no harm should come to anyone, and that the rights of all citizens be upheld. I respected the beliefs, customs, and religions of the people, and I ordered the restoration of temples and sacred sites that had been destroyed in times past. The gods of various nations were returned to their sanctuaries, and people were once again free to practice their faiths. Those who had been unjustly imprisoned or exiled were released and allowed to return to their homelands. I guaranteed freedom of thought, religion, and way of life for all, and compelled no one to change their beliefs or identity. My purpose was to establish justice, eliminate oppression, and uphold human dignity. Hi everyone, my name is Faria Zandinia. I'm 14 years old and I'm in the 8th grade of Farsi at Besuiya Ayende Academy. I moved from Iran to Canada when I was just 3 years old with my family. And even though I've grown up here, the Persian language has always stayed close to my heart. Thanks to my mom and dad, I started Farsi classes when I was 6 years old. And that's when I really started to appreciate the language. I've come to appreciate our culture not just through festivals and traditions, but also through the everyday beauty of Persian proverbs and sayings. Recently, I've been working on a really special project. I wrote and illustrated a bilingual book called Sweet Persian Proverbs, inspired by Amsal Hekam, the famous collection by Dekhoda. This book has around 30,000 proverbs, but many are written in a very formal style, and I wanted to make some of these sayings easier and more fun for kids my age to understand. With the help of my amazing teacher and co-author, Ms. Jandi, I selected over 160 proverbs, translated them to English, and gave them a more modern feel. I also added drawings, which I made with the support of my art teacher, Maryam Samimi. The characters in these illustrations are actually of me and my older brother, because this project is really close to my heart and I wanted to include him in it as well. There are two examples of proverbs I'd like to share with you, and both have really commonly used English equivalents. First one is the grass is greener on the other side, and secondly we have it goes in one ear and out the other. These are two proverbs that are great examples of the Persian language, and this is a great example of how the Persian language captures everyday wisdom in such a vivid and poetic way. It also shows how different cultures express such similar ideas. We published this book with Kids Ocado, and I hope it helps young readers connect with the Persian language in a meaningful way. Thank you so much for listening. If you're interested, feel free to visit our stand to view the book. And on that note, I'm excited to introduce Nikki Torgisi, who will be sharing her story next.
I am of the generation of Cyrus the Great. Hello everyone, I am Nikki Torgisi, and today I am here and proud to share my story with you. Although I am Persian, I am also Canadian. I was born and raised here in Canada. Both cultures are important to my identity and represent me in different ways. I chose to share a story from Ferdowsi Shahnameh. Ferdowsi is a great Persian poet who endeavored to preserve Persian culture by collecting stories and writing them. Gurdafarid, a main character, is a strong Persian female who is evidence from the story that women have played important roles in Persian society and are valued in Persian culture. Gurdafarid's story is made up of both love and war, where she defends and protects her country from Sohrab. I have written my own copy of this book in more modern language, so in both English and Persian, so more people can understand it and enjoy the language and culture. All of the artwork and writing is done by myself. This was a very long project, but I'm so proud of myself for getting this far. If you'd like to check out my book, it is available in our stand. To finish off, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you're enjoying our presentation so far. I will now hand it over to Atrin, who will tell you her story. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ashin Hishmarifar, and I'd like to start my presentation by quickly talking a little about Persian culture and history. Iran, an ancient country with an unmatchable, beautiful culture that's lasted for over 1,000 years. Many wonderful festivals have been created over time, each showing the beliefs, values, and happiness of the Iranian people. Some of these cultural celebrations, such as Nowruz and Yalda, have been recognized all over the world, and Persians traditionally celebrate, while September Ramazan is barely talked about and to the majority of society forgotten. In ancient times, Iranians saw this day as an opportunity to express true affection and love, to celebrate kindness and selflessness, very similar to our Valentine's Day, which actually falls around the same time in the year. So coming back to me, as I mentioned before, my name is Atrin and I'm 15 years old. I moved here to Vancouver when I was 1 year old, meaning I didn't spend much time in Iran learning about the culture firsthand. When I was 6, I enrolled in Farsi classes at Besui Ayande, and that experience transformed my view of the Persian language in ways I didn't know were possible. There, I learned that I truly had a love for this language and the culture behind it. I was always passionate about the history of Iran and always wanted to learn more. Most of the time, my resources for reading and learning about these celebrations were from online resources. There weren't any books that were appropriate for my age and easy to learn from. I knew right there that I wanted people of my generation and generations to come to know about them. So I wrote my book about 8 Persian events that helped shape our culture. I wrote this book with the help of my Farsi teacher, and I illustrated this book myself. It's also written in Farsi and English, so English speakers can also learn about this topic. If this sparks any interest to you, you can check out this book at our booth. And I'd like to thank Captivated for helping us publish this book. And a big thanks to the event committee for setting this up and having us. Thank you for all the opportunities.
To wrap up, we'd just quickly like to thank Parinaz Jandi as the director of Besui Ayande Academy, Naghme Keshavarz, director of Kidzakara Publishing House, Katrin Beteybazi, the director of the art school at Besui Ayande, and Maryam Samimi, teacher of calligraphy and art at Besui Ayande Academy, all of whom played critical roles in the development of these projects and all the work that the Academy does. So we'd just like to say a big thank you to them and everyone here tonight.
Mr. Richard Stewart, the wonderful, hardworking mayor of city of Coquitlam, which I invite to the stage to have a few words for us. I personally want to thank him for all the hard work as a long-term resident of Coquitlam. We greatly appreciate what you do, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. First of all, let me acknowledge that Jen McIntyre has surprised Ron and me so many times at so many events that I'm so glad Ron got to surprise her. I too want to thank the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society for organizing this, because Coquitlam is a special community because of all the cultures that live here. I adopt the opening comments about our Coquitlam First Nation and the Coast Salish peoples, who have welcomed people from around the world. They've cherished these lands from generations and millennia, and they welcome now all of us. And my family arrived in North America, my mother's side, 400 and something years ago, from France. My father's side from Scotland. A month from tonight, we will be celebrating Scottish heritage. But in between now and a month from now, I get to have dinner with the Coquitlam First Nation. I attend several multicultural events, cultures from around the world that come here and celebrate their cultures with us. And that's so special because when I was growing up, this was a very European city. It was a city primarily of persons from the British Isles and persons from France. And we had a few people from India and a few people from Asia, but not that many. And our schooling didn't give us a full picture of the world. I lament that my schooling did not include much about the tremendous cultures of Asia, the tremendous history of Asia, the innovations in the science and technology that Asia has provided, Asian countries and Asian cultures have provided us, the world. We don't recognize that enough here in North America, and I apologize for that because we need to do more. And I thank very much the Vancouver Asian Heritage Festival Society and so many groups like it that bring us the cultures that we get to celebrate with you. So on behalf of Coquitlam City Council, I thank you all for being here. I thank all the organizers and the sponsors and the supporters and the volunteers that are needed to put on a tremendous group of festivals like this. A week, I think, ago, I was at Centennial Theatre here in Coquitlam for a group from Korea, dancers, that with such tremendously historic costumes. And when I was in Korea, I saw some of those tremendous, some of that tremendous heritage that is a country that has become a big part of Coquitlam. Yorubunun Coquitlam ege aju sojun hamnida. I saw a couple of people nodding in there, so that was just for them. We in Coquitlam cherish all of the cultures that have come here, but we need to cherish and ought to cherish the Asian cultures so much more because they're our neighbors. We're connected so well, and they share with us so readily. So on behalf of Coquitlam City Council, thank you very much. Have a great festival.
जिंदगी हो मेरी परवाने की सूरत या रब, इल्म की शम्मा से हो मुझको मोहब्बत या रब, हो मेरा काम गरीबों की हिमायत करना, दर्दमंदों से
Well, first we heard about this festival and we're like, we do want to be part of it because it's by showing what our traditions and cultures and music is, we realize we're all the same at some level or the other. So we were really attracted towards participating in this month, whatever we're celebrating. So yeah, and we thought we'll bring forward Hindi and Urdu and a lot of poetry, but in that limited time, the most difficult thing was to pick out what message we want to give today. And I think the most important message is that of peace. So that's what we chose. You know, people have started thinking that diversity separates us. Diversity is strength. When you realize how diverse we are, but then still at some level we are the same, that brings humanity close. So I think such celebrations are really, really important.
Statement. I would like to thank for our director, Behanas, on stage. Flowers. 鲜花上来. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the hard work. And I would like to thank for our Executive Director, Isabel. Now, I would like to introduce our board members. Vice President, Dr. Nassim, and Executive Director, Marian. Marian, flower. Sorry. And thank for our board member, Yan Xi. And board member, Mia. Our board member, Adireza. The beautiful MC. Okay. And I'd like to thank for all the sponsors. Welcome to stage and invite our MP and VIPs on stage. Thank for all the sponsors and volunteers volunteer on the stage. So for group photos, without your contribution, this not happen. Thank you from my heart.